Hi, I'm Tinny from Mini Bowl Design, and today I'm going to start off with a series on each one of my stoves. Today I'm going to do the BIOS 2.2, and I'm going to tell you everything you ever wanted to know about it, and a lot of stuff you're probably not interested in. So if you're not an absolute alcohol stove nut, don't watch this video. Please don't leave any comments saying, "Whoa, that was a waste of my time, man." You know, because this is going to be dry stuff. We're going to start right from the beginning. So let me adjust the camera here onto this stove so you can see what I'm talking about, and we'll get into it. Okay, this is the BIOS 2.2. Now originally I started out with just the BIOS. Now how this came about was Bill Bellow designed a stove similar to this, using the first guy to use this can, as far as I know. This is a stadium bottle. It's an aluminum beer bottle. And what he did was, he made a stove a lot higher than this with no wick, and he took the neck out of the stadium bottle and cut it off in two places and slid it right down inside, made a two-piece stove, and then put 3 pop rivets in it and polished the top. Now, that was the basic beginning of this whole idea. I looked at that idea and saw some room for improvement, I thought. So I did the same thing. I cut off the bottles and turned them upside down and put them inside. I made the stove shorter and I put bigger jets in it. And to hold them in place, instead of using pop rivets, I just rolled the edge in a little bit to hold it in place. And I sold that for a while. That was the original BIOS. As time went by, I changed the height up and down a little bit and the jet height some. But my next big improvement was I went to a cope roll, as he calls it, a roll that rolls the whole top of the stove right down over, curls it down and locks the inner piece in place. I gave that technology to Bill Bellow quite a while ago, and he had the dies made, and that's how he does his now. I had Michael Cope build this die for me. I came up with the idea for the die to roll it and sent the plans to Bill, and Bill had a CAD machine, and he drew the plans up and sent them back to me, and we kicked the design around a little bit, and I finally got it where I thought it would be correct, and Bill made me the first die. Did an excellent job, and that's the same die that I use today to make all my BIOS stoves. Okay, and at that point I had a 2-piece stove with a roll top and a wick. Then I went to the next model, which is a 1-piece stove. It no longer has the neck cut off and put inside. The whole top is just rolled right in on itself. It's all 1 piece. And that's what this stove is. That's the final design. The 1-piece BIOS stove was my idea. And I had a special die made for that, that rolls the whole thing and then rolls it right down inside. The advantage of that is the walls, between the 2 walls, is only like 3/32 of an inch between them. So there's a lot less volume, so that the gas that's generated tends to come out the jets a lot quicker because there's not so much area for it to wander around. It's a real tight setup. Now that made for a stove that lit a lot faster. And along with the wick, the primer wick, which you douse with alcohol and light, and that burns and heats the whole stove and gets it to blossom out, and then the wick goes out. And that made for a fast-burning, really good stove. But after they were out for a while, and I sold 300 or 400 of them, I had about 1 in 100 that had a problem of overflowing. The alcohol would come right out the jets, and this totally boggled me. At first I thought it had something to do with the fuel, but I was incorrect on that. And finally, some of the guys on the forum, some of the cult members mentioned that they thought, and I found at the time this to be more than a little bizarre, they thought that the pot was sealing on the top of the stove and causing the stove to actually pressurize in the fuel chamber and forcing the fuel down and out the jets. Well, it turns out that that's exactly what was happening. Every now and then, because these tops were all exactly the same and absolutely symmetrical, if you got a pot that was also very correct and set it on there, and with the weight of the water on it, it would actually seal on this top. So that made this chamber a sealed compartment. So as the alcohol expanded and vaporized, there was no place for the vapor to go. And since there's 3 jets in the bottom here that meter the fuel out to the inner wall, that was the only place for the fuel to escape and the gas to escape. So it pushed the alcohol down and went out into this outer chamber and rushed up and came out the jets. Well, not a good thing. So what I did originally to solve that problem was I put a relief vent in the top inner side of this stove in 2 or 3 places. And that way when the gas built up, it just went out these inner vents and went out into the outer wall, but it wasn't down at the bottom, so it just went out and just turned into gas and burned off.